Welcome to Note Lab Mode.
Hey, glad to be back.
Before we get started, though, let's hear from today's sponsor.
Mm.
Note Lab Mode today is brought to you by AI.
CloutFit.
Yeah, if you're trying to find a really smart way to increase your sales, AI connects those influencer outfits directly to your product inventory.
Interesting.
It makes their content instantly shoppable,
Oh, wow.
which means more sales and a higher order value for you.
That's awesome.
So to learn more, visit cloutfit.ai. That's CLOUTFIT.ai.
All right, so today
Today.
we are diving deep into some really interesting research on Claude AI.
Okay.
And this AI assistant is getting a lot of buzz because it could totally change the way we work. And we are going to explore what makes Claude different and how it can become your virtual collaborator.
I love that, virtual collaborator. You're busy, you want to get smart fast without feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding what Claude AI is really capable of.
I like that. So our goal today is to extract the key insights from the research we've been doing and show you exactly how Claude AI can boost your productivity and kind of just sharpen your strategic thinking, whether you are working solo or as part of a team.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What's the big idea with Claude AI that makes it stand out?
So the research really highlights that Claude is not like your average software.
Right.
It's really designed to learn and evolve as you interact with it. So it picks up on your preferences and even adapts to your communication style.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just like a fixed set of tools then. So what are some of the core things that it can actually do?
Yeah, so the research highlights several really crucial capabilities. First, it maintains context throughout your conversations.
What does that mean, context?
Yeah, so context is like thinking of it as Claude remembering our whole discussion, not just the last question.
Oh, okay.
So when you refer back to something we talked about earlier, it already has that information in its memory, so to speak.
Wow.
Just like a human collaborator would.
That's wild.
And then it learns your preferences over time, which leads to more tailored and helpful responses.
Doesn't that make sense?
Plus, it adapts to your communication style, making the interaction feel more natural.
Okay.
And importantly, it can handle everything from quick and simple requests to those really complex projects.
Okay, so now this research that we've been looking at keeps mentioning Claude 3.7 Sonnet
Yes.
and this revolutionary hybrid reasoning approach. What makes that such a big deal?
This is a total game changer.
Okay.
You know how with some AI models, you have to choose between getting like a fast answer or really deep, thoughtful analysis?
Yeah.
Claude 3.7 Sonnet can do both.
Oh, wow.
So essentially, the model has different processing pathways.
Okay.
One is optimized for speed and pattern recognition, and then the other dedicates more computational resources for complex multi-step analysis.
Okay.
And Claude can intelligently switch between these based on the complexity of the query.
Okay.
So you get the speed when you need it and the depth when it matters most.
So you don't have to compromise.
No, you don't.
I like that. Can you give us a concrete example of how this hybrid reasoning works in like an everyday situation?
Absolutely. So for quick routine questions, it operates in standard mode, giving you those fast responses.
Okay.
But if you throw something more complex at it, like a really tricky math problem or a coding challenge or a super detailed strategic analysis, then it shifts into an extended thinking mode.
Okay.
What's really interesting is that in this mode, you can sometimes see its reasoning process,
Oh, wow.
which gives you insight into how it got to the answer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The research we looked at quotes Kieran Flanagan, and he calls Claude a virtual collaborator. He says it feels indispensable for both small and complex tasks, and I think that really highlights how versatile it is.
It does.
Yeah.
And Flanagan also raises a really smart point about building context. His approach is to use many different Claude instances that are singular tasked, which really emphasizes the power of focusing each interaction on a specific goal and letting Claude build that deeper understanding within that area.
So based on this research, how do we actually start using Claude AI effectively?
So the research strongly recommends leveraging the projects feature right from the start.
Okay.
This lets you create those dedicated AI assistants, each focus on a specific area where the context is maintained across all of your interactions within that project.
Okay.
Think of it as setting up distinct workspaces for different parts of your work.
Okay, the research we have includes this quick setup guide for projects. Let's walk our listeners through the steps.
Okay, so the first step is really simple. Open Claude AI and navigate to the projects section.
All right.
Then, and this is crucial, you define the scope of your project. Think beyond just stating the objective. What are the key workflows you want to improve? What specific outputs are you looking for, and in what format?
Okay.
And how will you actually measure whether the project is successful?
Yeah,
It's really like setting clear goals for your AI assistant.
that makes sense. It's all about giving Claude a clear direction. So what's the next step in this?
Step 3 is uploading all of the relevant documents. This is where you give Claude all of that background information that it needs to understand your context.
Hmm.
Think past reports, style guides, process documentation, even historical data. Anything that's directly relevant to your project's goal.
Right.
After that, you want to set interaction guidelines.
Okay.
This includes specifying your preferred output format, the level of detail you need in its responses, any specific terminology or frameworks that you use, and even outlining any review or approval processes that might be involved.
Okay, so the final step in this quick setup.
Start with a small, well-defined test task.
Yeah.
Choose something really manageable to begin with so you can evaluate Claude's output.
Yeah.
Based on what you see, refine your prompts, which are those instructions that you give to Claude,
Yeah.
and just make a note of what works best. This iterative process of testing and refining is really key to getting the most out of your AI collaborator.
Now, the research that we've been looking at mentions that projects can be super beneficial for both enterprises and individuals.
Well,
So what are the main advantages for each?
so for enterprise users, projects really facilitates team-wide knowledge sharing. It allows role-based access to different projects,
Okay.
and it enables the creation of customizable workflows that are really tailored to the specific team's needs.
Mm.
For individuals like you, it's more about building a personal knowledge base that grows and becomes more valuable over time,
Okay.
automating your routine tasks in a way that fits your specific preferences,
Yeah.
and having that consistent context across all of your individual projects.
All right, so we have a good understanding of what Claude is and how to get started with these projects. So let's dive deeper into those three core features: the research highlights, projects, artifacts, and interactive dashboards.
Exactly. And it's so important to see how these three features work together as an integrated system.
Okay.
We've already talked about how projects create those dedicated workspaces.
Yeah.
So let's think about how you actually work within those spaces.
Okay.
The research gives some really compelling examples of how you can actually leverage these projects.
So give us some specific real-world scenarios that our listeners can picture.
So imagine setting up an executive assistant project to help you analyze meeting notes and track those follow-up actions. Or you could do a content studio configuration project specifically designed for developing blog posts and planning your social media content. You could even have a data analysis center project focusing on automating reports and identifying those key trends in your data.
Mm.
Or how about a strategy hub organization for managing your planning documents and keeping tabs on your competitors?
Those are great examples.
Right.
So how does Claude 3.7 Sonnet's hybrid reasoning make these projects even more powerful?
Well, it allows for much more specialized applications within those projects.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you could create dedicated projects where you specifically instruct Claude to use its extended thinking mode
Okay.
for tackling those really complex problem-solving tasks,
Right.
or for intricate code development where that step-by-step reasoning is essential, or even for conducting in-depth data analysis that requires careful, nuanced interpretation.
So the research also gives us this example for a content marketing project.
Yes.
So what are the key steps in setting something like that up?
So the initial setup command is a great place to start. This project will manage our blog content strategy. Please analyze our style guidelines and past content to maintain a consistent brand voice. We'll focus on creating SEO-optimized blog posts that target marketing professionals.
Okay.
Then you define your project guidelines a little bit more, specifically outlining those key topics. You'll cover who your target audience is,
Okay.
the types of content you're going to be creating,
Yeah.
and then those key metrics that you'll be tracking, like search engine rankings and audience engagement.
That makes sense.
And finally, you upload those key documents that Claude can actually reference, like your brand voice guidelines, examples of your best performing blog posts, your content calendar, any SEO keyword research you've done, and then reports on your competitors' content.
That's a really clear, actionable example of how to get started with projects for a really specific purpose. Now let's move on to artifacts.
Okay.
What are these all about, and how do they differ from like regular documents?
So artifacts represent a significant shift in how we think about AI-generated content.
Okay.
Instead of just being those temporary outputs from a chat, they become persistent shareable resources that can actually evolve and update over time.
Interesting.
You know, the frustration of outdated marketing plans.
Yeah.
Because artifacts are living documents. you can link them directly to live sales data.
Oh, wow.
This means your strategy is always informed by the latest results, enabling real-time adjustments that were pretty much impossible before.
So they're not static files. They can change and adapt?
Exactly. Their core capabilities include being living documents that can automatically update with new information,
Mm.
breaking down the traditional silos between different types of documents.
Mhm.
Imagine a project proposal that automatically incorporates the latest budget figures as they come in.
Oh, that's so smart. So what are the main benefits of using artifacts in our workflows?
So the research highlights several key advantages.
Mhm.
You can easily share them with your team members. They automatically maintain a version history, so you can track those changes over time.
Okay.
You can update content across multiple artifacts simultaneously.
Mm.
You can export them in various standard formats, and they are designed to integrate smoothly with your existing tools and workflows.
So are there any best practices we should keep in mind when working with artifacts?
Yeah, there's a few key ones. Creating templates for documents that you use frequently will help ensure consistency. Establishing clear and logical naming conventions is crucial for keeping everything organized.
That's always important.
Right. And setting up regular review cycles will help ensure the information stays current and accurate.
Yeah.
Defining specific update triggers, like those events or data changes that should prompt an artifact to be updated. That's really important.
Yeah.
And finally, documenting your preferred customization settings will help maintain a consistent look and feel across all of your artifacts.
The research that we've been looking at gives another, steal this example this time for a quarterly marketing campaign analysis artifact.
Yes.
How would we set something like that up and use it?
So you'd start with an initial command like create an artifact to track and analyze our Q4 holiday campaign performance.
Okay.
Then you define the structure of the artifact by specifying the key elements you want to track, such as a dashboard of performance metrics, an inventory of all of your creative assets for the campaign, a breakdown of your budget allocation, comparisons of performance across different marketing channels,
Okay.
results from any A/B tests you've conducted, and the relevant customer response data.
Wow, that's a lot.
Right. And then the example illustrates how you'd actively use this artifact by regularly updating the campaign metrics with new data files
Okay.
and adding the findings from your A/B tests. And it also highlights features for team collaboration, version management, and the ability to link and cross-reference this analysis with other relevant artifacts such as your Q4 budget plan or the creative briefs for the campaign.
That sounds incredibly efficient for keeping everyone on the same page and working with the most up-to-date information. Now let's tackle that third core feature, interactive dashboards.
Yes.
This sounds like it could really transform how we visualize and understand data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The research calls interactive dashboards a revolutionary feature for turning raw data into meaningful visualizations, fundamentally changing how we approach data analysis and make decisions.
It even includes a quote from Kip Bodnar, and he says that Claude can essentially build a little web app dashboard,
Right.
potentially reducing the need to hire those dedicated data analysts or engineers for every visualization task.
Yeah.
It's a pretty powerful statement about its capabilities.
It is. And this is powered by Claude 3.7 Sonnet's visual intelligence.
Okay.
And the research outlines some really interesting real-world applications of this.
Okay.
For example, in business intelligence, visualization, Claude can extract key metrics from your data,
Okay.
create comparisons across different data sets, identify anomalies or outliers, and even convert charts and graphs back into their underlying data.
That's cool.
In document processing, it can analyze complex diagrams,
Yeah.
extract information from scanned documents, interpret data presented in tables,
Wow.
and even understand organizational charts.
I didn't know it could do that.
Right. And for marketing and design enhancement, it can analyze visuals that are used by competitors, assess your own brand consistency across different materials, and even extract specific design elements from images.
That's amazing.
And in research and analysis, it can interpret complex scientific figures and extract crucial data points from graphs.
So it's not just about displaying the data, it's about Claude actually understanding and interpreting the visual information.
Exactly. And this ties directly back to the hybrid reasoning that we discussed earlier. While the visual intelligence allows Claude to process and understand visual data, the hybrid reasoning capability determines the most effective approach for analyzing that data and generating those insights.
So what are some best practices for getting the most out of this hybrid reasoning when working with these interactive dashboards?
So the research suggests being explicit in your prompts when you need Claude to engage in more extended thinking.
Okay.
For example, you might say, please analyze this data step by step and explain your reasoning for each key finding.
Okay.
It's also a good idea to review Claude's reasoning process to see if there are opportunities to refine its approach or your prompts. And just like with projects, you could even consider creating dedicated projects for different types of dashboard analysis.
Okay.
Perhaps one for quick high-level visualizations,
Mhm.
and another for more in-depth analytical dashboards that require more extensive reasoning.
The research also mentions visible reasoning as a key advantage of Claude's approach.
Yes.
So why is it so beneficial to see how the AI is thinking?
Well, it offers two main benefits. First, it allows you to verify the logic behind Claude's interpretations and recommendations, which really helps build trust in the system and its output.
Okay.
Second, by observing its reasoning process, you can actually learn from Claude's approach to data analysis,
Hmm.
potentially improving your own skills and understanding over time.
And of course, we have a steal this example for a marketing performance interactive dashboard.
Right.
So what are the core elements we should include when we set something like that up?
The basic setup command could be something like create a marketing performance dashboard using the data in marketingmetrics.csv with the following sections.
Okay.
Then you define an overview section that includes key metrics like a month-over-month revenue trend line and a bar chart showing campaign ROI.
Okay.
You would also specify campaign performance details such as a table comparing the performance of different campaigns
Okay.
and a heat map visualizing channel effectiveness. And crucially, you define interactive elements that allow you to drill down into the data like date range selectors and filters for specific campaigns and marketing channels.
Mm.
Finally, you'd outline those automated insights you want Cloud to provide, such as identifying the top performing channel,
Okay.
detecting any significant anomalies in the data,
Yeah.
highlighting key trends,
Uh.
and offering those actionable recommendations for optimization.
So these core features, projects, artifacts, and interactive dashboards really do sound like they have the potential to revolutionize how we approach our work. So let's move on to the final section of the research, which focuses on real-world applications.
All right, this is where we see how those features can be applied in practical professional settings to drive tangible benefits.
That's what everyone wants to know.
Right. And the first application that the research highlights is AI as your executive assistant.
Oh, I love that. So Kieran Flanagan is quoted again, and he says he starts his morning by having Claude pull up those urgent items and even draft initial follow-up emails.
Right.
That sounds like a huge boost to productivity right from the start of the day.
It is. And the research emphasizes the idea of setting up those dedicated projects that function as specialized AI assistants,
Okay.
each focused on a specific task with persistent instructions. For example, for managing meeting follow-ups, you can upload the meeting transcript to a dedicated project, and Claude will automatically extract those key decisions, action items and deadlines, maintaining a running list, and even flagging items that need immediate attention.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The value of having that maintained context over time seems to be a recurring and really powerful theme here.
Absolutely. Because Claude retains the history of your interactions within a project,
Hmm.
it can provide much more informed and relevant responses
Okay.
and help you make better decisions over time. You can quickly check the current status of ongoing projects and even get suggestions for appropriate follow-up actions based on past discussions.
So what's the recommended process for setting up your AI executive assistant based on this research?
It begins with creating a dedicated project's workspace specifically for this purpose. Then you upload the essential documents that Claude can reference, such as your meeting transcripts, team communication logs, project timelines, and any relevant process documentation. And the research then gives examples of the kinds of daily and weekly briefings Claude can generate for you, including a summary of today's top priorities, progress updates on key projects, and a consolidated list of outstanding action items.
That's awesome. And what would a steal this example for a morning briefing setup look like?
So the initial command could be, create my daily morning briefing. Please reference my calendar for today's meetings.
Okay.
Scan my email drafts folder for any urgent outgoing messages, and check my project management tracker for today's critical tasks. Present this information in a clean, scannable format with clear headings for today's priorities, weekly progress summary, and action items requiring immediate attention.
That sounds amazing. A fantastic way to streamline the start of the day and ensure you're focused on what matters most. So the next real-world application discussed is the content marketing revolution. This sounds like it could fundamentally change how we create and manage content.
It really does.
Yeah.
The research argues that Claude enables a level of personalization and efficiency in content marketing that wasn't possible before. It's not just about creating individual pieces of content anymore. It's about building those interconnected content systems that are more dynamic and responsive.
Okay.
And with Claude 3.7, Sonnet's enhanced coding and web development capabilities, you can even create more sophisticated interactive content experiences.
So Flanagan believes that the future of content measurement will increasingly focus on the consistency and effectiveness of writing styles across the entire go-to-market strategy. That's a really interesting perspective on where things are headed.
It is.
Yeah.
And the research outlines what they call the 3 pillars of AI-powered content
Mm,
that really support this vision.
okay.
The first pillar is writing style intelligence,
Okay.
which is all about creating dynamic content that adapts to the specific audience you're trying to reach while still maintaining your core brand identity.
Okay.
Claude learns from examples of your high-performing content and can automatically adjust the tone language and even the level of technical detail to suit different audiences and channels,
Wow.
all while ensuring multi-channel consistency.
That's really impressive. Right.
So what's that second key pillar in this AI-powered content approach?
The second pillar is content system integration.
Okay.
This involves creating a more unified and interconnected content ecosystem where updates and insights in one area automatically ripple across all of your relevant touch points.
Just give me an example of that.
For example, if your sales team gains new insights into a common customer pain point, you can use Claude to automatically update your relevant blog posts,
Okay.
your social media messaging,
Yeah.
and even your email marketing campaigns to reflect this new understanding.
That sounds like it could save so much time
It really could.
and ensure a much more consistent and effective message across all channels. So what's that third pillar?
The third pillar is strategic optimization.
Okay.
This involves continuously analyzing market trends, competitor content strategies, and the performance of your own content to identify opportunities for strategic adjustments.
That's important, right? It's about using AI to get real-time insights and even automate optimizations for things like your content topics, the structure of your articles, and the overall tone that you're using.
Wow.
This includes high-impact applications like in-depth market analysis, continuous performance tracking, automated content adaptation for different platforms, strategic content planning based on data, and optimized content distribution strategies.
So the research includes steal this example for a content optimization system. What's the core idea behind setting something like that up with Claude?
The core idea is to create a defined workflow for automatically enhancing your content for SEO,
Okay.
adapting it for different platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, email, and video, and continuously tracking its performance.
Yeah.
The initial command could instruct Claude to analyze a piece of content
Okay.
and then generate suggestions for improving its SEO ranking, create shorter, engaging versions for social media, draft compelling email copy to promote it, and even outline potential scripts for short explainer videos, all while continuously monitoring its performance and suggesting further optimizations on a weekly basis.
So the strategic impact of Claude on content marketing really boils down to greater efficiency and scalability, continuous performance optimization based on data,
Yes?
and a stronger alignment of your content efforts with your overall business strategy.
Exactly. It's about creating more impactful content,
Yeah.
ensuring it reaches the right audience, and continuously improving its effectiveness over time.
So the final real-world application that the research kind of delves into is Claude's role in data analysis and insights. It sounds like its capabilities go way beyond basic number crunching.
They do. The research highlights Claude's ability to identify those complex patterns in data, generate meaningful insights that go beyond simple summaries, and even create actionable narratives from unstructured data.
Mm.
It's about democratizing access to sophisticated data analysis and significantly accelerating the entire process of turning raw data into strategic understanding. And as we discussed earlier, Claude 3.7 Sonnet's extended thinking capabilities make its reasoning in these analyses much more transparent and understandable.
And the ability to maintain context across multiple data sources and different analysis sessions must be incredibly valuable in this domain as well, right?
Absolutely. It allows Claude to build a much more comprehensive understanding of the data landscape over time,
Okay.
making each subsequent analysis more informed and insightful. The research lists key analytical applications such as in-depth market research, including competitive analysis and identification of emerging trends,
Right.
and sophisticated financial analysis encompassing forecasting, risk assessment, and budget optimization. And it's particularly valuable when dealing with large and complex data sets, multiple disparate data sources, intricate statistical analyses, and strategic data, where understanding the why behind the numbers is just as important as the numbers themselves.
The research ends this section with another thought-provoking question from Kieran Flanagan. Why would I go to your website when I can just upload all your product docs into Claude and build my own custom microsite?
Right.
That really underscores the transformative potential of this AI technology.
It does. It challenges us to rethink how we provide information and interact with our customers in a world where AI can rapidly synthesize and repurpose vast amounts of data.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of Claude AI.
It really has.
It really does seem like it's more than just a tool. It represents a fundamental shift in how we can approach our work.
It does. The research suggests we're entering a new era of collaboration between humans and AI, one that has the potential to unlock significant gains in productivity, foster more creative problem solving, and enable more strategic thinking across the board.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners after this deep dive?
The research encourages you to start small experiment with Claude's various features
Oh, okay.
and gradually expand your usage as you become more familiar and comfortable. Think about those specific workflows in your daily tasks where an AI collaborator that learns and adapts could make a real difference. What kind of projects would you find most valuable to set up?
Those are great starting points for our listeners to consider.
We hope this episode of NoteLab Mode has provided you with a valuable understanding of Claude AI's potential.
Yes, please share this episode with anyone you think would find it insightful, and make sure to subscribe to NoteLab Mode so you don't miss our future explorations into the world of technology and productivity.
Thanks for diving deep with us today in NoteLab Mode.
Until next time.